Grow, Sell, and Retire is the podcast for the lazy overachiever. B.D. Dalton, author of True Gravity and Grow, Sell, and Retire, is here to give you his 25 years of secrets, tips, and systems to take your business to the next level. This is your chance to find out what is working in sales, marketing, and running your business. If you stop learning, you stop burning. Now, here's your host, BD, with today's GSR podcast.
Hey everybody, BD Dalton here for the Grow, Sell, and Retire podcast. I have a great interview today with a guy named Fausto Dassenno. He's from Parma in Italy, Parma hams. Amazing stuff. His wife's from Rome, so they have, a split marriage, but everything's great. And guess what? He works for Gumtree, who is owned by eBay. He's done lots of stuff for internal stuff for eBay and making sure that everything's working. He's gone forward and made sure that he's sold a couple of companies when he was in Italy. He is an advocate on blockchain, so we'll talk a little bit about blockchain, one of those big titles that everybody's looking forward to learning more about. We're going to talk a little bit about making sure that you get into blogs and how you could keep and start blogging, because Fausto loves his blogs. He's going to talk about having better user interfaces, and that's just not just about a software issue. This is not just about how well you know your clients and how well you can make their experience with you amazing and personal. So this is my interview with Fausto Dassenno. He calls himself Verticals at Gumtree, which is a great place for online sales, things like that. But he also loves and is an advocate of blockchain. So if you want to learn more and have some fun and listen to an amazing Italian accent, then sit back, grab a pen, take some notes, and listen to my interview with Fausto Dassenno, here to make you a lazy overachiever. Welcome to the show, Fausto.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you on. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. So lots of people might not know anything about you. So you've been with some big names in the industry. And what are some of the companies that you worked for or worked with that people might know?
Yes, so I work with a lot of companies in the eBay universe. So I was with the classifieds in Italy, and then I was a product director for Job Rapido in Italy again, and now I'm with Gumtree, that you should know is part of the eBay brand. That's part of what I do. I've been an entrepreneur for many years before then, with companies in Italy and in the UK around mobile development, web development. I founded my first company when I was 19 at the university, and then I sold that company when I joined eBay in 2011. And from there I always try to build something that it was meaningful for me, and I try to have fun. And by fun, I mean something which is meaningful, and building something meaningful for me and for the people around me.
Very cool. So when you're going through all these things, how important is user interface, or how clients get on with the things that you're doing? Because you've got some really big tech behind a lot of these names, the Gumtrees, the eBays, and all that type of stuff. But how important is user interface or user experience?
It's crucial. A user interface or UX in general, as some of my guys in the UX department will say, UX is not how things looks like, but is how things works. And I think it's the reality. So you can build the most incredible system, but if you cannot create an easy way for users to consume the system, and then of course you're basically blocking more than half of your users from using it. So that's super important, that the user interface is clear, that it makes sense for your users. So that's why user interface from accounting tools to customer support tools to online entertainment tools, they are completely different because they solve different users' issue. I'm really passionate about user experience and UI, and I might be a little, riding the wave of minimal UI, but I really like when the UI is giving you exactly what you need, and I'm very passionate about progressive disclosure of the features. If you ask me which UI I think is and the one that I use and I think is interesting, definitely I like Netflix approach in terms of UI. Again, minimal. I'm just giving you enough features to keep you using my product, and I might be disclosing more features as we go.
That's cool. So if somebody was to apply the same thing towards a services business or a restaurant or something like that, so what you're telling me and what I'm interpreting from that is that you don't need to have 40 items on a menu. You just need to have 5 to 10 really good items on the menu. Is that kind of what you're talking about in that same sort of crossover?
Yeah, that's a very interesting. That's an interesting point of view, BD. So its reality is you definitely need to engage your users. And that's why, for example, recommendation completely changed the way we use products. And at the same time, you cannot really provide 10,000 different titles if you're browsing through Netflix. You need to start being relevant and personalized for your users. And it's also the same for e-commerce and shopping. It's very similar. So if you land on an eBay page or a Gumtree page, you are expecting the content to be personal for you, because the time that you can give to the platform is finite, and you have other stuff that you want to do. You have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have real life potentially, and you want to spend the time that you are investing in the product in doing something which is meaningful for you. So that's absolutely important.
And so getting on to kind of the next thing is, so you're engaging your users. So people get really scared, and we get away, and people get really worried about cookies and all these different, all the GDPR and everything else that's come into it. So how much do people have to give away of their personal data and their personal interests to save themselves time, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a very actual discussion. So considering that I am the UK responsible for GDPR for Gumtree, so I was heavily involved in everything that is GDPR related. And to be fair, even from the numbers that we're seeing, people they're really interested in their privacy, but when they have a driver towards using a product, they are more than keen to click on, I accept the usage of the data or whatever. So, even from our numbers, we're not seeing much people saying, no, I don't want to give you my details, because I think that it's almost common practice, and it's also the expectation from the users to see personalized content. So the moment they can serve you personalized content, and that the user experience will be relevant for you. So I think that it's super important to be clear on the fact that users are in charge of their data, so they should be in a position of removing those data from the platforms that they are using at any given time. That's paramount. But at the same time, people, if they are receiving a meaningful user experience, then even from my experience and from the numbers that I'm saying, it's not really a big issue giving away information. So that's a reality.
So people will give away their opinion, they'll give away their stuff as long as it's giving them some sort of ease of use is what you're saving some time.
That's correct. Not just ease of use, but also meaningful experience. Again, if let's try to think about using, whatever service, like from Facebook to Instagram to Netflix to Amazon. People, I don't think that people will be used anymore to just land on a page like Amazon page without having any kind of personalized content, because at that stage, in that situation, you will have bikes, and then you will have any item across the board, and then people are starting to be scared about that. So they want to have things that are relevant for them. And that's why I think that, the privacy is part of the equation, but not necessarily is the biggest part of that equation.
That's very cool. So what some of your other businesses, have they all been tech? Have the ones that you started in Italy and sold and did things like that, have they all been tech based, or have they have any sort of services or product sales that weren't online?
No, it was mainly consultancy and software development. So definitely more in the space of creating applications. I did a lot of consultancy, and even now, in the 10,000 things that I do, that's quoting my wife. I do a lot of advocacy, either within eBay and outside eBay. I'm advisor for a few companies in the blockchain space. I'm really passionate about blockchain and DLT in general. So I'm more than happy to help companies that I think that they can change the way people use the technology. So I'm more than happy to help them pro bono. It's not really for money. It's because I think that is our responsibility as a community, as tech people and tech and product people, to help the industry get into a place where they can create better products and solutions for users.
Very cool. So if we go to consultancy, if we go back to that, because you're really good at user experience, how do you make it so that the people that you're consulting know the type of value you're delivering? Because that's a lot of the people that listen to this podcast either have consultancy businesses or services businesses. So they're selling ethereal stuff. They're selling things that you can't taste, touch, and feel, but they're things that'll definitely change their business for a better way. How can they create, or how can you create a better user experience when you're advocating things to these blockchain companies?
Yeah, so there are two levels of information. I think that's very important to get out to the clients. So first of all, let me talk about what is the suggestion that I would give to those businesses. So, and then I can elaborate on the blockchain piece. So the first suggestion is testing. This is something that it's valid in the big corporation. People like Facebook or Google of this world, they're doing that each and every single day. So if you get that's a test that I did. So if you get 10 people or 12 people in a room, and if you ask everyone in the room to open up their Facebook app, very likely they would be seeing 6, if not 7 different versions of Facebook. That's A/B testing. That's testing, and that's something that companies, they don't do enough. They don't test what they're doing. They invest money into what they think is right, and most of the time, what they think is right is based on experience, which is gold. Don't get me wrong, but is also based on assumptions, and assumptions, by definition, needs to be validated. So I'm a big fan of the lean process that says build, measure, and learn. So you build something. So you always start from building something that is expensive in terms of effort. You measure the kind of impact that you do have. You learn from it, and then you decide if you want to pivot or persevere. And that's the main thing that I was doing with my clients. If they were asking me, what do you think about this idea? And I was challenging, you don't really want me to give you my opinion, but you want the opinion from the users the market that you'll be hitting. So that's super, super important. And testing. This is a cultural thing more than like a technical one, of course. And then you have 10,000 different ways of doing it with 1,000 different products. The second piece in terms of blockchain, which I'm really passionate about, is advocating and explaining why blockchain can be a solution for your business. I don't think that you have an idea of how many people I spoke with, and I said, you don't really need a blockchain solution for your product. You just need a database and a good marketing. There are situations in which you need where the blockchain technology can not just solve your technical issue, but also giving you an edge on the competition. And there are situations where you don't really need it. Reality is that the market, sadly, is just rewarding companies that are adding blockchain in their company name. So I mean, there are numbers out there that says that half of the companies that added blockchain in the name, I mean, it can be from whatever industry, they increase their share price by 40%. So, and it's not just me. I mean, you can easily confirm those numbers. So that's very important. Do you need this technology? Yes. Or I mean, can this technology bring value within your market, within your value proposition? If the answer is yes, and then you can design a proper technical and product implementation for that.
But the big thing is that most people don't understand how it could work. So they need to have somebody that actually understands what information and what blockchain can do for them, because a lot of people, and we've talked about this, and I know we're going to talk about it at Disruption when you're there with Sally and Simon and everybody else. Everybody thinks that blockchain is a thing versus a a system, and they think it's actually cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and all this, and they just don't understand the complexities of it. So it's that unknown, but they don't want to look stupid. So it's just enough information to be dangerous.
So that I think that you just said it right. So and everyone wants to have something to do with blockchain because is a fashionable word. So usually the first step when I do some advisory is, okay, guys, do we need this? And I try to explain to them what blockchain can do. I mean, I recently wrote a Medium post where I try to explain Bitcoin to my mom, and that actually is, I would say, 60% out of a real conversation with my mom Daniela, which of course she's almost 60, and you can appreciate she's not much into Bitcoin, but she was hearing about this thing, and she said, well, what is it? So I tried to explain to her about this. But this is bringing me to the conclusion that, sorry, not to the conclusion, but to the crucial point that blockchain is not Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is using blockchain, fair, but cryptocurrency not necessarily is the only application of blockchain. Actually, I'm personally very grateful that Bitcoin is there, because Bitcoin it was a very cheeky way of getting people hyped about blockchain. Because if you think about blockchain, is not much different from saying, I'm implementing this new database technology, which is not super sexy, and usually people are not really excited about. When you say people, we are moving from a NoSQL database, to a NoSQL database, usually just site ops people are excited about that. Reality is that everyone is excited about blockchain in general, because Bitcoin is using one of the ancestral levers, which is money, which is being greedy and make money out of thin air. So that's maybe a dark side of this, because again, blockchain can solve for so much more than cryptocurrency. But I think that should be grateful to the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin movement, because that was that created a flying wheel that allowed everyone to basically to hear about blockchain and be interested in that. And that's the starting point for building something meaningful.
That's really cool. And to tell you the truth, my highest ranking daily download for the podcast was when I had hashtag blockchain in the title. It was triple what I normally have. Yeah. And we didn't talk that much about blockchain, but because there was some mention, like there'll be some mention of blockchain, there's some description of it, it will be the next, if not or the next highest ranked of my podcast, just because people go, oh, blockchain, I need to learn about that. And, this doesn't, it's such an oddity. But you got back to something that actually was really, really poignant, is you're blogging and doing things on Medium. So how would you suggest that either to become a thought leader or to enhance themselves or to be an advocate, people should be using blogs, and what should they write about and how should they write, in your eyes?
Yeah, so I'm very passionate about meeting people. So in my Medium page, I usually put the events that I will be taking part. I mean, if people just want to see me in person, because I think that there's so much value in chatting with someone eye to eye rather than over emails, and that's super important, being able to interact with human beings. But I appreciate that that cannot be done, especially if cross oceans or cross continents. So I think that we have we are living in an age where we can reach basically everyone online with just our blog posts. So that's super powerful. My only suggestion is find something you love and write about it. So don't start writing just because you want to be part of it, because that thing will never fly, or at least not in my experience, unless you are a ghostwriter or that's your job, but you are a niche. But using blogs and using this kind of medium to create your personal brand, which again is not a greedy thing. I mean, your personal brand, my personal brand, is my footprint on this planet. You know, it's what I do. It's what people will remember about me. My only hope is that people will remember, I had the chat with that guy. He was a nice guy. He gave me a couple of interesting point of view. That's all I ask. I mean, it's not about predicating anything or advocating anything. You just need to give people point of views. And then if your point of view is really good, then it's a different story. But still, it is the dialogue that is the starting point of everything. So find something you love, or maybe you do know what you love. Just try to foster it and take care of the things that you do love. Write about them, talk about them. Try to get your opinion out in the wild, and don't be afraid of judgment, because again, every feedback is gold.
That's cool. Very cool. So, testing. So you got to get it all out there. So,
correct.
What are your big goals for 2018? And it's almost over. It's almost halfway over. But what are your goals for 2018?
Yes. So I would be very cheeky. So I would say that I will keep testing, and improving. Being father and a husband, that's my top line. But in terms of the bottom line, is definitely advocating for DLT. So I really want to keep doing the kind of being able to give point of views about blockchain technology and DLT in general. And one thing I love and I do in my personal time, most of the time, is helping businesses try to do something meaningful. And again, this is not really just a marketing piece, because most of the time it's just, let's have a phone call. I will be more than happy to give you my point of view on your product, on your value proposition. And it's nothing to do in terms of, being part of the company. But that's what really motivates me. So those are my goals for 2018.
Very cool. So besides blockchain, which we've talked about, what's your favorite piece of tech that you have, whether it's hardware or software, that you're using right now to make your life a better place?
Yeah. So I can give you an example of both. So if we go on the software, I'm experimenting a lot with serverless technology, and of course, blockchain is one example of serverless technology. But I loved working and experimenting with Google Functions, the Amazon Lambda. So everything that is kind of moving the paradigm of the client server to a situation where everything is in the cloud and you just write functions. And I'm doing some tests for my personal staff, for some of my consultants, and I can tell you that it's really, really interesting. It's a technology that is maybe not in its infancy, but is a teenager technology now. So with everything that comes with that definition, but definitely is definitely super cool. So serverless technology is definitely something that I'm experimenting a lot those days. And in terms of hardware, I'm a maker by heart, so I love Internet of Things, IoT. I did everything in my house with everything that is the connected doorbell ring, the cameras, the thermostat and stuff, and then with the Arduinos. So I really love to build stuff that, not necessarily will be, changing my life, but I like to create this. I like to push the technology to its limits, and I'm just waiting for my daughter to be 6 or 5 to try to get her into programming her own Arduino.
That's cool. Very, very good. So how can our listeners learn more about you?
So you can follow me on Medium, on Twitter. So just look for my name, Fausto Dassenno. You can find my Medium publication on medium.com/Fausto-Dassenno. It's FAUSTO-DASSENNO. And you can find everything about me there.
Cool, and I'll have it in the show notes, definitely. And also, you'll be speaking with us at Disruption in October, so that'll be fun too. So, and then what's one quick fire? So, if anybody listened to this and didn't listen to the whole thing, but listened to this last minute, what's the quick fire top tip that you haven't given us that you can offer to our listeners right now?
Yeah, this is not new, but again, find something you love and do it, or keep doing it. I always try to close my speeches with a quote from Randy Pausch, which is a former professor at the Carnegie Mellon. You can find his last lecture on YouTube, and I hope that I will be sending you the URL for that one. And Randy Pausch said, sometimes when you do things, you will encounter brick walls, but don't be scared, because brick walls are not there to stop you. Brick walls are there to basically to make you show everyone how much you want the thing that are on the other side of the brick wall. And also the brick walls are there to protect that thing from other people. So that basically the underlying concept is keep pushing, and even if you hit a brick wall, there's always a way through.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Brick walls as opportunities and signs. That's really good. So thank you very much for your time today. And we'll definitely get all this in the show notes. And we're looking forward to hosting you too at Disruption. But it's going to be one of those things where I think people are going to have one of those, and they might not have ever heard of you, and they haven't heard of me. But coming around to it is having an interview like this really helps people out. And thank you so much for your time and your energy and your passion.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Grow, Sell, and Retire. For more information, tools, or to book one of our team members to work with your team, business, or to speak at your event or conference, visit bartdaltonconsulting.com or email contact@bartdaltonconsulting.com. Buy the book True Gravity on Amazon. If you want to work for the rest of your life, that is your business. If you don't, that is ours.